Hi there. I hope you're all well. I'm Amy, and this is our weekly energy message. This is a collective message for everyone. And if you have interest in individual private message, please do get a hold of me, and we might be able to work something out to do readings. But this is a collective message for everyone for the energies of the coming week. So our first underlier that we have is the Three of Keys, the chess game. And if you look at this, you see that it's a game of chess, and you see that the queen is on her side there, and it's taking place in this large sort of fancy looking room. And what this card is about, this is about our current situation. So this isn't your friendly game of chess. This is sort of the underlying energy of the political game that's going on right now, the different strategies and interpretations and plans and things that might be going on that we don't know about, that are done in secret, and that we really have no control over. Okay, so that is our first underlier. And then the next one we have is simply love. And this card is about, it's about innocence and nostalgia and emotional comfort and caring for those that we love, reaching out in a positive way, and really just enjoying the simple things in life. So when I take these two cards together for our underlying energy, the message for me here is about, what's going on in the outer arena. The larger picture is something that we don't really have that much control over. What we do have control over is our own emotional reaction to that, and how we deal with that, and what we do with that energy. So, this has been sort of an ongoing theme for us for a while now, for obvious reasons. So it's about this sort of external, internal thing that's going on, and really finding a way to deal with the things that are happening out there that may look a little iffy. The queen on her side, that's our world right now. The something has fallen, and something of power has fallen, and what remains of the game is yet to be seen, because it's not finished. So what we can do is we can empower ourselves by pulling back into, as we've been asked to, our own personal lives. And in doing that, finding ways to not let that keep us from being in a positive place. The third underlier that we have this week is the World card. And this really does affirm that, this is the completion of a cycle. This is the very last major arcana card in the tarot deck. And this is about, big cycles of time completing, not only in sort of a general cosmic larger way, but also in our own experience. This is about us leveling up to a new level. So that's what we're all being invited to do during this experience, is to choose to level up. So let me slide that over a tiny bit and fit this one on here. There we go. All right. And and so what we have next, our three cards here. Whoops. They're all coming out the wrong way here. I didn't do a very good job putting these together, I guess. There we go. All right, so the first card here, the Karmic Trench. And if you see, it's a 4 of scrolls. And then we have the 4 of roses, views of the ego, and Five of Scrolls, diversity. So what this is about, again, this relates to up here to this, this experience, what's going on. Like, we're all in the trenches of this really intense karmic experience that is a huge thing for all of us, so it's an overall big picture thing, but it's also about us, working through our own individual karmic experiences. And if you look at this card, you're going to see that this person here is digging a trench, and he's working pretty adamantly to do that. And despite the fact that there's all these other rows that are ready to be tilled, and he's got all the seed that he needs to plant them, he is focused on this hole that he's going to keep digging. Okay, so this talks about the cycles that we can get trapped in, and that's really what karma is about. And there's some sort of misinformation out there about karma and its effects, and also the fact that in this new sort of age of Aquarius that we've moved into, in this new larger 52,000 year cycle that we have just entered collectively as a planet in our universe, the laws of karma have changed for Earth. So that's a big conversation I don't want to get too deep into right now, because I don't want to make this video too long. But if that's something you'd love to know more about, please do feel free to message me and we can have a conversation about it. All right, so this is that sort of bigger picture, cycle that we're working through, but there's a different way that we are being invited to view this. So this card here is about different ways that we view ourselves and others, okay? And so the ego is the part of ourselves that is conditioned by our societal experience, and it tends to be very rigid and solid and attached to certain ways of thinking and doing and being. And that's for each and every one of us. And so if you allow yourself to detach from worrying about how other people view you and worrying about other people's ways of being, their choices, their decisions, how they act, and recognize that the only one that you have any power over is your own ego, your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own thinking. And the more you're able to detach yourself, again, this idea of detaching yourself from this outside stuff that's going on. And I'm not saying to close your eyes and not look at it at all, because that would be foolish. We have to all be aware of what's going on out there. But I'm saying our reaction, our internal reaction, the way that we choose to see it, the way that we choose to look at it. And so if we look at it from a place of, of love and empowerment, then we will be able to work through this time where we are all sort of stuck in the trench together, quote unquote, and find new ways. This card is about, all the different things that she's got. If you look at this woman, she's got a whole bunch of scrolls there. She's got all these books, she's also inside, ironically, and there's this beautiful world outside, but she's inside learning. And so, we're all being so strongly encouraged right now to find new ways of being and thinking and doing, when this is over, this pandemic is, behind us, which it will be someday, eventually. None of us knows yet when that's going to be. Nobody really knows when the chess game's going to end. But when it is, we are going to be invited to plant these fields in ways that we can go and do the exact same thing we did before, knowing full well that many aspects of our lives weren't working. Because, if we can learn anything from this experience with our ego, is to be able to face it and say, okay, what really was working in my life and what wasn't working, and what was I pretending worked, and how do I want to change going forward? Because this is the golden opportunity. It really is a really strong time for that. Okay, so let's take a look at our next three cards here, because these give us a lot of insight also. So this is the Ace of Cups, and this is a gift from the universe, okay? And it's a divine gift of emotional rebirth, okay? And this ties in so well with all this other stuff. This is potential. This is potential. This is fruition, and then it's this cup that's overflowing with light and emotion, and it's a very powerful, strong energy that if we do this, if we choose to allow ourselves to not be afraid to face the parts of ourselves that might be a little creepy and scary and uncertain, and and hold on to this idea that despite the fact that things are hard for us in ways, they're also more beautiful than they've ever been. There is a rebirth, a renewal of our emotional beingness together. Like, we realize how much we care about each other. We're realizing what is most important and what isn't most important, and so here we also have the Four of Pentacles, which again, this is about like what we're going to really put our energy into manifesting. Okay, so one of the things that I find interesting about our cards this week is we have 4, 4, 4. Okay, so we have three different versions of 4 here. And this is our 4th week of this social distancing experiment that we're all undergoing. Okay, and it's also a 4 universal year. 2020 is a 4 universal year, and a 4 universal year is really about discipline and diligence and growth. 4 dictates that hard work will yield positive results. If you are willing to work hard, if you're willing to put that work in, what you're growing, what you're amassing, accumulating, and ready to bring out into the world is going to bring positive results. But it's also a time of making very meticulous plans. None of this stuff is easy, except the love. The love is the easy part. It might be difficult right now to love the people that we love most. For those of us who are, in our homes, sequestered with people that we love a lot, but that it might be hard to have been in, our homes predominantly for all this time. We're used to being away from each other. We're used to having our own time and space, going to work and different school and different, organizational activities and blah blah blah. So that's also a challenge for us right now. But 4 is also about limitation, order, service, foundation, disciplines. I have some notes down here because I just find it so interesting that this list of the numerological aspects of 4 are just so in alignment with what is happening in our outer world during this 4 universal year of 2020. So limitation, order, service, foundations, discipline, reliability, and systematic. I just said systematic. But this idea of, it is taking a lot of discipline for us to do this. It's hard to not go and do the things that we want to do. It's hard on everyone, but when we are, acting from this place of recognizing that, we need to take care of each other, that's a beautiful thing that we're all doing for each other. Okay, so let's see, what was the other? This was the so the other card here, Queen of Rods, going with this one, here again, we have this empowered energy, very strong, beautiful. She is in command of her thinking. She is not willing to back down. She has learned how to integrate as above, so below. Up here, if you see this is, spiritual potential and physical potential coming together, to create this beautiful, powerful, strong energy. Sorry, it was shining and then I got sidetracked. So, not being afraid to be in command of knowing, knowing what it is that you really want, and not being afraid to claim that, is really a big, strong part of this message. And I have 3 more cards here, that I wanted to share with you. So this one came up again. Okay. So this is the same as this card that we had last week for our underlier. So I talked a lot about this card last week, the Magician. And, this is about that, really calling on that power, knowing that we have the tools, So here we are, we're in this experience of this collective thing that we are all facing. And we are being encouraged to, not only, we've got the Ace and the 1 here, this is that new energy. So bringing something new out of the old is such a strong, powerful message for us right now. And then we have this card next, which is the Sun card. And, that is a pretty obvious message right there if you just look at it. Shining your light into the world and not being afraid to do that is what we are all being called to do right now. The more we can be the light for each other right now, the easier it is for all of us to get through this. The more we can love each other right now, the quicker we're going to get through this. We're going to heal, and we're going to be able to find new ways to move forward together, that enable all of us to be in our power, because we all deserve that. It's not that some people deserve that and some don't deserve that. We all deserve to be in a place where we feel good about what we're doing and we feel in our power. And this is what this time is really inviting us to do. And as if it wasn't a strong enough message already, the last card that came up for us this week was this one, Share the Love. So we have Simply Love, Share the Love, and Shine, and if you look at this card closely, you're going to see that, this is I find a poignant picture for us. If you see the hand with the heart, and, it's a single hand, it's not actually touching. And, in the background, we see all these images of, sort of romantic kind of connection. And this is, I feel like there's a little sort of sub message here that I wanted to particularly mention, that is that for some of us who are currently not in a relationship, there may be that urge, especially being spring. For some people, it could be, this sort of strong urge to want to connect with another person in sort of a romantic way of some sort. And obviously, this is not a good time for that. So in dealing with that energy, if that's something that you are, currently having any kind of a struggle over or with, or feeling any kind of way about, you're being invited really to put that energy on yourself. Like, allow yourself, this may sound a little hokey, but allow yourself to fall in love with yourself right now. We're never going to have this much time to ourselves again, probably. I mean, because I don't I mean, who knows? I can't say never. God only knows. Now you can't never say never about just about nothing is what I'm discovering. But, this is definitely an unprecedented time of having an immense amount of time to ourselves like we've never experienced. And how many of us have thought, well, if only I had time, if only I had time, if only I had time. Well, this is the time to do that. So be loving and kind and wonderful to one another, but also be loving and kind and wonderful to yourself. Recognize that you too are worthy of that kind of love. Here's this guy looking at himself in the mirror. He kind of loves himself. You can tell. He's like, hey, dude, I'm pretty good, Something that I have tried, because I've struggled with, my self-image my entire life. I have always had body issues. I was overweight as a child, and it left a deep scar. I was teased, I was made fun of, and always thought that I was not worthy of love, especially this physical body. Not that I didn't think I was a good person, but that, like, God forbid this physical body should be something wonderful to love, and so one of the things that I've worked with in trying to heal that kind of inner woundedness is to be able to look myself in the mirror. And when I look in the mirror, not see just my human self, but see all of me, see the magnificence of my soul, see how wonderful and amazing and what a miracle it is that I have survived all of the things that I've been through in my life and come through with an open heart that's willing to share and, simply love despite that. So I encourage you to take some time to look at yourself in the mirror and really, really love yourself. Don't be afraid to look at yourself and say, wow, you're amazing. I love you. And it feels silly at first, but once you start to do it, it feels kind of good, and the more you do it, the better you feel. You might feel totally silly and not want to do it. Just a suggestion, all of this is just a suggestion. You take what resonates and leave the rest. So I do have two other cards that I really wanted to share with you today. And these are from a Sacred Geometry deck. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but I will post it in the notes below so that you'll know. And this card here, Emergence, and I'm going to read to you what it says on the bottom. It says, the frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, and to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. And that really does encapsulate this overall message, this innocence that I spoke of in the first, in the underlying card there, how that really is what we are emerging into right now. We are encouraged to not only, our divine aspect of ourselves, to embrace that, but also to, this is another thing that I've done is I've talked to my younger self in the mirror. And maybe that sounds crazy to you, but I got to tell you, it's helped me a lot. It has helped me heal a lot of old pain that was buried deep within my body and my soul. And that's a beautiful blessing that we can give ourselves. So that's another gift of this time. And then the second card, what are we emerging into? We are emerging into universal love. And I want to read this. It says, the frequency of universal love activates the connection we feel to each other, our planet, and the whole of existence itself. And so that kind of is it in a nutshell, I think. I don't know, that one won't stay there. Let me just put it there. There we go. That's kind of it in a nutshell. really this message is pretty clear and pretty strong that, we're still in the thick of this. We have not reached the peak of our curve yet in this country that I live in anyways, and I think a lot of the world is still in the process of that. So we are invited to tap into that universal love, feel that energy of the earth holding us, because she is feeling more powerful than ever at this time. Gaia, Mother Earth, which is kind of the opposite of humanity. And I think that's a beautiful thing, that if we can remember that, Mama's strong and she's holding us, so don't be afraid to rely on her to hold you. And in that, hold each other. I think that's about it. And I hope that you find this message helpful. I hope you stay well. And I do appreciate any feedback. I will say I've not gotten too much feedback on the videos, and I'm not really clear if people are really enjoying them or not. A lot of people who traditionally would message in on the written messages I haven't heard from. So I do hope that you're all well, and I think I'm going to do a survey pretty soon to find out how people are feeling about this sort of overall message. I know they're a little bit longer, and that may hinder some people from being able to listen to the whole thing. But I think that we get what we need to hear whenever we need to hear it, and I believe that those who most are meant to hear this message will hear this message. And I love you all. Take care, stay well, and see you soon. Bye.